Mushrooms are amazing. Did you know they can literally talk to each other? And they let trees talk to each other through this big, amazing mycelium network in the forest. Anyway, it's really cool, but it's not what this is about, unfortunately. This is about a different kind of mushroom. A mushroom cloud. Like this. Yeah, we're talking nukes. Fun! It's not very fun. Believe me, I care a lot about climate change. I'm trans, gun control. But nukes kind of make all of that seem like a fun little discussion over tea and crumpets. So, yeah. Nukes. Nuclear weapons. Tsar, bomb, Fat Man, Little Boy, Gadget. All the fun names they've had over the years. On July 14th, 1945, the first nuclear weapon was detonated at a test site in New Mexico. It instantly turned the surrounding asphalt and sand into green glass. At the end of World War II, U.S. dropped a nuclear weapon on 2 cities in Japan, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Today, 9 countries have acknowledged having nuclear weapons. More have them, but they're all hush-hush, don't tell anyone. 32 countries endorse nuclear weapons, as in they haven't signed on to treaties to ban them. Not great. Also, let's talk about how many weapons are out there. More than 13,000. 13,000. We'll talk in a bit about what just one bomb can do, but we have 13,000. And get this, over 90% are owned by just 2 countries. Guess which ones? It's not a secret. Just why? I mean, sure, it's fine. It's not like Russia is engaged in a war with Ukraine and most of the rest of the world right now. Right? Also, I wonder how much those weapons cost. It's probably not cheap, right? It's about $800 billion. $800 billion. Also, get this, we don't have enough money to give military families paid leave when they have kids, but we spend over $800 billion on 5,000 bombs, each one with the capacity to destroy entire cities. This is the nightmare-inducing book I read for this project. This guy, Daniel Ellsberg, has a bit of a history leaking stuff the government doesn't want us to know. He discovered that nuclear weapons are way more powerful than we know. And if that wasn't terrifying enough, he found out, not sure how to say this in a way that won't scare you to death, but here it goes, we're not being very careful with them. You know how you imagine the president with a big red button or something, and it's only the president who can launch a nuke? Yeah, not so much. Ellsberg revealed that 2 pretty low officers can launch a nuke, and once it's launched, you can't really stop it. Fantastic! Add to that the long history of accidents with nukes. Like this thing that happened in Arkansas in the 80s, where a guy bought the wrong kind of wrench, nearly wiped Arkansas off the map. So let's have some fun imagining that. Just a heads up, it's not great. It's a bit of a downer. Let's start with this. A single nuclear bomb dropped on a major European city would instantly kill millions of people. Bombs over a number of cities, which would kill tens of millions of people. Casualties from a major nuclear war between the US and Russia would reach hundreds of millions. I can't read that big of a number, so I'll put it on screen. Not to mention, the people left behind would suffer horribly. Physicians project that some 2.4 million people worldwide will eventually die from cancer due to atmospheric nuclear tests conducted between 1945 and 1980. On top of that, ICANN says, the use of less than 1% of the nuclear weapons in the world could destroy the global climate and threaten as many as 2 billion people with starvation in a nuclear famine in the long term. This is hugely different from any other kind of bombs and represents a threat to humanity. Let's look at what actually happens when you drop a nuke. A 300 kiloton nuclear bomb detonated in the air would, within a fraction of a second of detonation, create a fireball measuring just over 1 square kilometer. This fireball would heat up to a temperature hotter than the sun, instantly vaporizing everything inside of it. Then, intense heat over 160 square kilometers that would leave people with severe or fatal third-degree burn. Well, everything made of materials such as plastic, wood, fabric, people outside this radius would be likely to suffer first or second-degree burn. A shockwave measuring around 70 square kilometers would demolish buildings that do not have steel-reinforced concrete, and people in the area would likely to be injured or killed. 50 to 90% of those who initially survived the heat and shockwave would die of poisoning within a few hours to a few weeks from the extremely high levels of radiation emitted from the nuclear blast. What can we do? Well, let's start with what we've already done. There's a lot of terminology here, and it can get a little confusing, so buckle in. The main difference is in the words non-proliferation and prohibition. Treaty 1. The Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons, commonly known as NPT. It came from the United Nations. They opened it for signatures in 1968. It came into force in 1970. Aim of the treaty? To prevent the spread of nuclear weapons and to work towards a goal of eventually stopping producing weapons. Here's the actual text, and declaring their intention to achieve at the earliest possible date the cessation of nuclear arms race and to undertake effective measures in the direction of nuclear disarmament. Super wishy-washy. Please, could you eventually work towards, if you could, pretty please. The UN famously doesn't really have much power. So, who has signed on to it? Pretty much everyone except India and Pakistan. Israel and South Sudan never signed on. Some people signed on but have been in and out of compliance. North Korea, Iran, South Africa, Libya, Ukraine gave up their weapons in 1994. Some say if they hadn't, Russia wouldn't have invaded. It's more complicated than that. So that's the NPT. Good to have, I guess, but it hasn't really done much. So Treaty 2. This is the Treaty of the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons, TPNW. The major anti-nuclear advocacy group, is massively involved with this one. This one was way better. If you sign on, you agree to get rid of all weapons. You can't build them, develop them, stockpile, or help others make them. Obviously, use them or threaten to use them. It's legally binding if you sign on, although the UN can't do much if you break it. They'll scold you and censure you. Oh no. Who signed it? Definitely not as many people as the NPT. It opened for signatures in 2017 and entered into force in 2000. So far, 92 countries have signed on. 21. No nuclear armed nations have signed on. The US and Russia are hugely against it. They say it's unrealistic, not safe for US to get rid of weapons while Russia still has them. What do you think? Other groups have signed on. For example, states, cities, local governments. ICANN says that even though it's super bad that nuclear countries haven't signed on, they can still achieve their goal. It's possible. For example, the Treaty on Landmines didn't have these big countries sign on, but kept putting pressure on them. And now those countries don't use them anymore, even though they didn't sign on. Which leads us to, what can we do? Ellsberg and ICANN agree that public awareness and pressure are the best thing to do. With videos like this. Number 1, speak out. Share it on social media. It really depends on what social media you are looking at. Algorithms like YouTube like longer videos like this, but all social medias like when you have the correct tags. So tag it with nuclear weapons, with the Non-Proliferation Treaty, with all of these treaties, with Ukraine, NPT, Tsar bomb. That is what will get it out there and get it attention. Number 2, you can sign up here to join the movement. They'll send you updates and inspiration on screen, and I'll put the link in the description. Number 3, educate yourself. Find out more about the topic. Read through the ICANN website. Number 4, finally, think about your own community. Start small and build up. You could start a school anti-nuclear club, protest, letter writing campaigns, ask to meet with your state's governor or government or the governor. It's all about awareness. It's been done before, and it can be done again. It just takes public pressure and a bit of united people. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'm proud of you. Drink water and have a nice day.